and decided to pop out of the mould. Oh, which I should have thought about really. I did try and push it down to see if it would stay in, but I knew in my heart of hearts it would not. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Now, you know I love dragons, right? I absolutely adore dragons, and any chance I can get, I put a dragon in something. Now, obviously, dragons aren't for everyone, so I do tend to do other things as well. But I've come up with an idea of maybe making a dragon eye inlay. And hopefully, both sides of the coin, a dragon eye mould as well. I'm so excited by this. This is early stages. This is up here at the moment. So I really hope that I can do it. And if you're watching this video, then perhaps I have. So this video is just going to be about this dragon eye mould. This is a prototype. It's the first one I made. I'm not 100% happy with it, but it works. And since making that mould, I've made loads of others that actually are better quality. But I'm using my very first mould for this video. Now this mould is a matte mould, which means it doesn't have a shiny surface. But you can always make things shiny by adding a coat of resin on the top of anything to make it shiny. In fact, I might actually go forward in the future and make a shiny version. But for now, I'm using my matte mould. I'm going to start with by colouring this mould with indigo green fleck, which is one of the Toonpish colours. This is a holographic chameleon pigment. And yes, it's both chameleon and holographic. And I'm going to cover the entire outside of the eye in this colour. It's a beautiful purple, and it does have that green fleck, which I think is perfect for a dragon eye. After all, dragon eyes can be whatever colour you want them to be. But you won't see the full holographicness of these colours unless a light is shining directly on it. And then they come alive. But now I've got some colour on it, you can really see the detail of this mould. It is really detailed. So once I've completely covered it, apart from the iris, I'm going to make sure I get any flecks of mica from that iris. That iris is going to be a completely different colour. I do think an iris has to be different from the surround to make it stand out. So I'm going to put a small amount of Kraken in the centre for the eyeball. Kraken is an amazing green-blue fleck chameleon flake, and I'm pushing it down into that eyeball. It should not stick anywhere else because it's already got mica on it, so it shouldn't interfere with anything else. And once I've got that green in the eyeball itself, I then use a cotton bud and clean off the pupil and end up taking a little bit of the green off as well. So I have to go back over that green, which means I've gone back over the pupil. Now I do want the pupil to be a different colour to the iris, so we're going for, as it stands out, bending the mould so that we can get a good clean sweep across the top of the pupil to clean off that colour. The one thing about this mould is it's very bendy. Because it's bendy, you can get into all the little nooks and crannies, and believe me, there's so many nooks and crannies on this eye mould. The next colour I'm going to use is Elixir, and I'm going to use that around the inner part of the eye socket area, just going over the top where I've taken off a little bit of the first colour, and you can see how bright those colours are in this mould. after blowing off the excess powder, I am really liking how it's coming so far. I do love bright colours. And then going to roll up a piece of tape, and even though I've got beautiful colours in this mould, I'm going to use the tape and I'm going to take off all the top parts so that we get a definition in the pattern of these pieces. The top parts of the mould are going to be the lower parts when you turn a piece of resin out. So I'm taking off basically all the lower areas with the tape. I am also taking off some of the colour from the surround. Now that's just to give it a mottled look. I'm not going to fill in those bits with any other mica. I'm going to let the background colour do that for me. But I'm really happy with at the moment how it's coming out, and you can see the tape has taken off all the top parts of the mould, which will be the lower parts when you turn it out. In this pour I'm going to use black polyurethane resin from MB Fiberglass. It's quick and there's just 30ml in this mould. I'm going to pour the entire mould with the lip around the eye as well, up to the top of the mould. And it's only 30ml. It's not a lot at all. I've left the stirring in this part because I want you to see how quick you need to stir it. You only get 30 seconds to stir black polyurethane resin and then it's ready to pour. So once I'm happy that I've stirred it enough, I'm going to fill this mould up to the top with the black. When I'm happy that it's completely filled, then I'm going to leave it to cure for about an hour. So an hour later, I can demould my very first piece in my brand new mould. Wow, that is quite spectacular. And I absolutely love the colours. I think they are spot on. The black behind that he's left in the areas with no powder just gives it that speckledy, rough look. And I really, really like that. So this time I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to use Kraken first, which is one of Emma's flakes. Beautiful blue-green flake. And I'm going to cover most of the eye with the Kraken before anything else. Now I know you may think that putting down a colour and taking it off again is a waste in putting it down in the first place. But it makes sure you get in all the lower areas. So this colour will be the forefront colour of what you see when that item is turned out. It's going to be the main feature. I'm making sure I'm burnishing it into this mould in all the little nooks and crannies, the extra fine details. I'm only going to pour the eye part this time, with no surround, so it doesn't matter if I don't get any proper colour on the surround itself. I'm just concentrating on the eye. Again, I get some tape and I go over with the tape to get rid of all the green from the high areas. As I said before, this will be the low areas when you turn the eye out. And I'm making sure I'm getting quite a lot of that colour out of those top places, including the eyeball. I'm going to clean up those parts, although I don't mind if there's a few green specks in there, but I'm going to make the eye a completely different colour. I do like contrasting colours with things like this. I like there to be a vibrancy between colours. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I give that eye a good clean, just leaving the Kraken in the lower parts of the mould. And it is a stunning blue-green colour, even though I'm not a green person. Then I'm going to move on to Let's Resin Chrome Red. This comes in their chrome pack and it's my favourite colour. It works well with black behind and white behind it. And this time I'm going to have a red iris. Completely red iris, and I'm making sure I'm getting it in all those little cracks because there's lots of cracks even in the iris itself. Plenty of detail in there. The red and the green should completely stand out when you turn it out. Because they're such opposing colours, I blow off the excess powder, put that one away, and then move on to Nether. This is a blue purple, a stunning colour from the Tiny Turner. The Tiny Turner pigments are available on toonpish.com. And I'm going to go over the high areas. Now I know the saying, blue and green never to be seen, but Kraken has got quite a lot of blue in it anyway. So I figured it would be really cool to have blue in those lower contrasting areas, hoping that this one is going to turn out really vibrantly bright. Again, I'm going to take the colour off of the pupil with a cotton bud. Now because it's nice and supple mould, you can twist it so you can get cotton bud in just on that pupil. And then I'm going to put a little bit more Nether on the pupil itself. And again, I'm using black polyurethane resin for this. You don't have to use black polyurethane, but I prefer it sometimes because it's a quicker experience. It cures within an hour. You can use just black or white or whatever colour you want epoxy. And I'm just putting in enough polyurethane resin just to fill up the centre section, the eye section. And squirting it with isopropyl alcohol not only gets rid of the bubbles on polyurethane as well as epoxy, but it will spread it out in the mould as well. And I just use a sharp implement just to drag that black into the tiny little areas that are left. So while that piece was curing, I figured I'd show you how I planned to make the iris and pupil wet. Because it's a matte mould, they're not going to be shiny, so I'm just going to use some Let's Resin, UV resin, to coat the eye and give it that wet look. Now while I was doing this, I didn't actually think about the corner of the eye. But after looking at it, I figured that it would be wet too, so I went into the corner of the eye as well. I did give it about 2 or 3 coats, and I put it under my lamp each time for about 5 minutes, so it cured up nice and strong. But I was extremely happy how that came out, and it definitely looks a glossy eye to me now. So going back to the piece that I was waiting to cure, and it's come out absolutely spot on how I wanted. It doesn't look as bright because it isn't, and it will have a glossy wet looking eye. But for now I'm just going to show you how I trim up the edges. These nail clippers are fantastic, and this resin is only just cured, so it is still soft. Remember, it's polyurethane resin. It's not going to be the same as epoxy resin, but while either is softish, it is better to snip around the outside edge because the pieces don't fly off and hit you in the face. They're softer, they're supple, and it's easier, believe me. And I really like the contrast between the Kraken and the blue. I think it really works well with the red eyeball. And this is what it looks like once I've given the eyeball 3 coats of UV resin. Doesn't it look absolutely spot on? I love it. I absolutely love it. This is my third and final make of this mould in this video, and I'm going to start with using dark matter. This is the Ghost pigment. That is a vibrant blue, absolutely stunning vibrant blue, and I thought it would be really nice to have a blue iris on a dragon. So I'm just using the blue on the iris. I then go round with a cotton bud and just clean up any flyaway powder pieces that are on the rest of the eye before I then clean up the pupil and use some black UV resin on the iris. Now, I am aware that some people can't get hold of a black polyurethane and struggle with black altogether, so there are colours that really work well with black or white behind them. And as Let's Resin has a white polyurethane that's available pretty much anywhere, I am going to use that for the rest of the mould. So I've decided to use a small amount of black UV resin on the back of the iris to give it that dark blue look underneath before I use white on the rest of the mould. I'm going to use red. Now this red does work well with black behind it, but it also gives a really, really vibrant red with white behind it. And I figured this time we'll have white. So I coloured the rest of the mould in red. I used tape to go over and take up just some of the highlighted areas as I've done before, and that is going to have a different colour behind it. I didn't really think at this point about the mould itself. I'm starting to twist the mould, and my nicely cured iris got unsettled and decided to pop out of the mould. Oh, which I should have thought about really. I did try and push it down to see if it would stay in, but I knew in my heart of hearts it would not. Typical. Let this come out. Look at that colour, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Right, let's put some clear in there and hold it in there. But taking it out, I can really see how beautiful blue that colour is. So I decided to use it again by filling the area with clear UV resin and popping the eye back in and curing it while it was in there. Now this mould is clear and it does let UV light through it, so I figured it would be fine. I did cure it both sides before I then carried on with the nether again and went over the entire piece with nether. That will fill in the areas taken off by the tape, and it probably will change the red very slightly, but red and blue make purple anyway. So if it does change it slightly, it's no big deal. By the way, if you are enjoying this content, why not hit that thumbs up button? It really does help my channel out. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. It doesn't cost anything and it definitely helps me too. So for this pour, I'm going to use the white polyurethane from Let's Resin. Again, with this polyurethane, you don't get long to stir it, but as it's a clear liquid to start with, you can see that it goes from a dusty colour with the two parts mixed to a clear colour when it's nicely mixed. That's when you know you can pour it. And I'm just pouring that centre part of the mould again, just to get the eye shape. And then I let it cure. So just 1 hour later and I can demould. And although I have some bits around the outside edge to clean up, I really, really like the striking blue eye in the red background. And this time I completely covered it in UV resin to give it a completely shiny appearance. And I think it's come out rather well. I really like it. Now I have been struggling here to get hold of the right type of silicone for making moulds. And I've tried so many different brands and I've realised that there are different grades as well. These eye moulds are now available for sale on Toonpish.com. So if you're interested, go check out Toonpish.com and see what's available. And I'm planning on making a lot more in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video and I really hope you got something out of it. Come back and see me next week because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week, happy crafting, and bye for now.